Picture this scenario. You walk into a casino and watch someone feeding dollar bills into a slot machine while their credit card statement shows they owe thousands at 22% interest. The debt grows larger every month while they chase the next big win. Most people would look at that and think it is crazy, but the same kind of thing happens in personal finance every day, and it explains why so many people struggle to build real wealth. 1 in 3 Americans has zero emergency savings. The typical emergency fund sits at a measly $500. That barely covers a single unexpected expense, yet these same individuals obsess over which cryptocurrency might explode next or whether they should buy individual stocks. This backwards approach keeps millions trapped in financial quicksand. Here is what is really happening, and it is something most people never realize until they are already trapped in the cycle. The world of consumer spending and investing has fundamentally shifted beneath our feet. Things that used to represent reasonable value have become absurdly overpriced, but we have all slowly adjusted to this new reality without questioning it. We have been conditioned to accept these inflated costs and risky behaviors as normal simply because everyone else seems to be going along with it. My name is Tim, and I help people understand money, personal finance, and how to actually build wealth over time. If you are serious about getting your finances on track and maybe even getting ahead of the pack, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if any of this helps you out. It is free for you, but it tells YouTube this is the kind of content more people should see. Understanding the proper sequence for investing your money can transform your entire financial future. The difference between following the right order versus jumping randomly between investment options can literally cost you tens of thousands of dollars over your lifetime. Today, we will explore why this sequence matters so much and walk through each step systematically. Most people get this completely wrong because the boring foundational steps do not generate excitement like picking hot stocks or timing market movements. They want to skip directly to the glamorous parts without building the solid base that makes everything else possible. This approach resembles trying to construct a skyscraper without pouring a foundation first. The opportunity cost of getting the sequence wrong compounds over time. Every month you carry high-interest debt while investing elsewhere. That debt grows faster than almost any reasonable investment return. Every month you ignore employer matching contributions. You literally throw away free money. Every month you contribute to taxable accounts before maximizing tax-advantaged options. You hand unnecessary dollars to the government. Step 1. Before you invest a single dollar, you need a real emergency fund. Before investing a single penny anywhere, you must establish an emergency fund. This step sounds incredibly mundane compared to researching the next Tesla or analyzing cryptocurrency charts, but it forms the bedrock of financial stability. An emergency fund does more than just cover unexpected expenses, even though that function is critically important. The real power of emergency savings lies in creating psychological safety that prevents terrible financial decisions during crisis moments. When your car needs major repairs or medical bills arrive unexpectedly, having cash available means you will not need to liquidate investments at terrible times or accumulate more high-interest debt. This buffer transforms how you respond to financial stress. Traditional advice suggests saving 3 to 6 months of living expenses, but that range is so broad it can feel meaningless. Your specific situation determines the appropriate amount. Someone with a very stable job and strong benefits might need closer to 3 months of expenses. A freelancer working in an unpredictable industry might require 6 months or more. Here is a practical way to break this overwhelming goal into manageable pieces. Start by accumulating your first $1,000 as quickly as possible. This amount covers many minor emergencies and provides that crucial psychological safety net. Then work towards saving 1 full month of living expenses. Once you reach that milestone, continue building until you have 3 months of expenses saved, and then adjust upward if your job or income is more volatile. Research shows the emotional impact here is huge. People with even a few $1,000s in emergency savings report much higher levels of financial well-being than those with no buffer at all. $2,000 might not sound life-changing on paper, but the mental peace it provides is enormous. Step 2. Kill every piece of high-interest debt you have. Once your emergency fund sits securely in place, the next step becomes absolutely critical. You must eliminate all high-interest debt before investing seriously in anything else. This means tackling any debt charging more than roughly 8% annually, though the exact threshold can shift based on current market conditions. Credit card debt stands as the obvious villain in most financial stories. With typical interest rates well into the double digits, credit card balances represent financial poison that grows faster than almost any reasonable investment return you could expect. Carrying credit card debt while investing resembles running a marathon while wearing a backpack filled with concrete blocks. The mathematics could not be clearer. Paying off debt with a high guaranteed interest rate gives you a guaranteed return equal to that rate, which often exceeds what you can reasonably expect from stock market investments after taxes. If you owe $5,000 on a credit card at a very high interest rate and make only minimum payments, you will pay thousands of dollars in interest over a few years. That money could have been working for your future instead of enriching the card company. Every dollar used to pay down high-interest debt essentially earns you a big, risk-free return, which even legendary investors would be thrilled to get. The strategy for eliminating debt efficiently follows a straightforward approach. List all your debts along with their interest rates and minimum payment requirements. Make the minimum payments on everything, then direct every extra dollar toward the debt with the highest interest rate. This debt avalanche method saves you the most money mathematically. Some people prefer the debt snowball method, paying off his smallest balances first for psychological motivation, but the avalanche approach is more efficient on paper. Step 3. If your employer offers free money, you grab every dollar of that match. However, there is one major exception to the rule about eliminating debt before investing, and it is important enough that it actually becomes a step of its own in the optimal sequence. If your employer offers matching contributions to your retirement plan, you should contribute enough to capture the full match, even before finishing your high-interest debt elimination. At first glance, that might sound contradictory, but the mathematics are compelling. Employer matching essentially provides a huge instant return on your contributions up to the matching limit. Even if you are carrying high-interest debt, getting that kind of immediate return usually makes financial sense. It is like finding money on the sidewalk that your employer will double if you pick it up. Here is how this typically works in practice. Your employer might match a portion of every dollar you contribute up to a certain percentage of your salary. If you earn $50,000 per year and contribute enough to get the full match, the extra money your employer adds is an immediate, very large return before your investments even have a chance to grow. The key is to contribute just enough to secure the full match, then redirect all extra money back toward eliminating high-interest debt. Once that debt disappears completely, you can increase your retirement contributions. This strategy maximizes your guaranteed returns while minimizing the time you spend paying high-interest charges. One important detail to pay attention to is the vesting schedule that some companies use to decide how long you must stay employed before the matching money fully becomes yours. If you do not plan to remain at your current job very long, make sure you understand how vesting works. Even with those rules, the immediate benefit from employer matching usually makes participation worthwhile. Step 4. Next, max out your IRA in low-cost, boring funds. This foundation of emergency savings, debt elimination, and employer matching creates the bedrock of your financial structure. Without these pieces firmly in place, everything else you do with investing essentially builds on unstable ground. Once you have secured these foundational elements, we move into what I call the tax optimization zone. This phase gets really interesting because most people completely mess it up. They get distracted by flashy investment options and skip directly to taxable investment accounts when they should be maximizing every tax-advantaged opportunity available first. At this point, the focus is on maximizing your individual retirement account contributions. This step comes before putting a lot of extra money into your employer's retirement plan for several important reasons. Your IRA often gives you far more control over investment choices and can come with much lower fees than many employer-sponsored plans. Corporate retirement plans have gained a reputation for offering limited menus of expensive mutual funds with management fees that quietly eat into your returns. With an IRA, you can choose low-cost index funds and exchange-traded funds that charge very small fees instead of the 1 or 2% fees common in many older-style plans. That might not sound like much, but over multiple decades, those fee differences can cost you tens of thousands of dollars. It is the difference between keeping your own growth or slowly feeding it to fund managers. In most recent years, the IRA contribution limit has been in the mid-thousands of dollars per year, with a higher catch-up amount if you are over 50. The exact number changes over time, so the important thing is simple. Check the current limit when you are watching this and aim to get as close to that number as your situation allows. Step 5. If you qualify for a health savings account, treat it like a stealth retirement account. If you happen to have access to a health savings account, this is where things become really exciting, because HSAs might represent one of the most underused investment vehicles around. They function like the Swiss Army knife of tax-advantaged accounts, offering not one, not two, but 3 different tax benefits that make them incredibly powerful for the right people. You receive a tax deduction for contributions similar to a traditional IRA. Your money can grow tax-free while invested like any retirement account. Here is the feature that makes HSAs special. Withdrawals for qualified medical expenses are completely tax-free, even in retirement. It is one of the only accounts that can give you tax benefits on contributions, growth, and qualified withdrawals. HSA contribution limits also move every few years, but they are usually in the low to mid thousands of dollars per year for individuals and higher for families. Again, the exact numbers are less important than the principle. If you are eligible and a high deductible health plan makes sense for you, aim to take full advantage of whatever the current limit is. The catch is that you must be enrolled in a high deductible health plan to be eligible, which is not appropriate for everyone. If you have significant ongoing medical needs, the trade-off may not be worth it. But if you are relatively young, healthy, and do not use medical care very often, an HSA can become one of the most powerful retirement accounts available. Here is the strategy that makes HSAs especially interesting. Whenever possible, pay for your current medical expenses out of pocket and let your HSA money stay invested in the market. Keep all your medical receipts because there is no time limit on when you can reimburse yourself for qualified expenses. You could pay for a doctor visit today, store the receipt, and reimburse yourself from your HSA decades later, completely tax-free. After about age 65, HSAs become even more flexible. You can withdraw money for any purpose, not just medical expenses, though you will pay income tax on non-medical withdrawals, just like a traditional IRA. But medical expenses in retirement are almost guaranteed, so having a pot of money that can cover them tax-free is like having a secret weapon against one of the biggest financial risks in old age. If you steadily max out HSA contributions for many years and earn a reasonable long-term return, you can easily end up with a 6-figure balance sitting there just for future medical costs. Given how high healthcare costs are for the average retired couple, that kind of money can take a huge amount of pressure off your retirement budget. Step 6, go back and supercharge your workplace retirement plan. Once you have maximized your HSA contributions, you return to your employer retirement plan and start pushing your contributions beyond the matching amount. Workplace retirement plans like 401k style accounts usually let you put away a very meaningful amount of money every year, often in the tens of thousands of dollars with extra catch-up room once you are over 50. At this stage, you are really optimizing from a tax perspective. Between your IRA, your HSA, if you have one, and your workplace plan, you could potentially shelter a large chunk of your income from current taxes each year. That is serious money that gets to compound without the government taking a slice every single year. Here is something that might surprise you. Most people never get anywhere near this point. The average savings rate is still only a single-digit percentage of income, which usually is not enough to even max out an employer match and an IRA, let alone everything else. If you reach the stage where you are regularly filling these buckets, you are already in rare company. The beautiful thing about following this order is how each step builds on the previous one. Your emergency fund keeps you from derailing progress when life throws a curveball. Eliminating high-interest debt stops you from bleeding money in interest payments. Employer matching gives you guaranteed returns. Tax-advantaged accounts let more of your money grow without constant tax drag. Step 7, only after all of that do you pour extra money into a regular taxable brokerage account. But we are not finished yet. Once you have worked through all these tax-advantaged options, we finally reach the step that most people want to start with on day 1. Taxable investment accounts. Taxable investment accounts represent the wild west of investing. You can buy individual stocks, trade options, speculate on cryptocurrency, or invest in traditional index funds without contribution limits or withdrawal restrictions. It is also where most people make their biggest mistakes because they assume having access to everything automatically makes them better investors. Here is what often gets ignored about taxable accounts. Every dividend payment can be taxed. Every time you sell an investment for a gain, the government wants a share. Over time, this constant tax drag slows your compounding. It is like running a race while someone keeps throwing sand in your shoes. You can still win, but it is harder than it needs to be. The difference in long-term results between keeping most of your money inside tax-advantaged accounts versus doing everything in taxable accounts can be huge. If you invest steadily for decades and earn the same before tax return in both places, the tax-favored account can easily end up far ahead simply because less money leaked out along the way. So why bother with taxable accounts at all? Because once you have exhausted your tax-advantaged options, taxable accounts are where you get complete flexibility. Need money for a house down payment in a few years? Taxable accounts are usually better than locking everything into retirement plans. Want to retire early before you can access retirement accounts without penalties? Taxable accounts can bridge that gap. Planning to leave money to your children or grandchildren, taxable accounts can receive special tax treatment at death that wipes out a lot of unrealized gains. So there you have it. The optimal order for investing your money that most people completely ignore in their rush to get rich quick. Emergency fund, high interest debt elimination, employer match, IRA maximization, HSA contributions if you qualify, maxing out your workplace retirement plan, and only then, taxable investment accounts. The power of this approach lies not in any single step, but in how systematically working through each phase creates momentum that accelerates over time. Your emergency fund provides stability. Debt elimination frees up cash flow. Employer matching gives you guaranteed returns. Tax advantage accounts maximize compound growth. Only after securing all these advantages do you move to fully flexible, taxable investing. This methodical approach might seem boring compared to the excitement of day trading or chasing the latest coin, but it represents the difference between building lasting wealth and gambling with your financial future. The people who follow this sequence consistently end up with dramatically more money than those who skip around randomly chasing the trend of the month. Your future self will thank you for doing the boring foundational work first, while others chase shiny objects and wonder why their net worth barely grows despite years of investing. You will be steadily building a real fortune through systematic wealth accumulation. Building wealth looks much more like growing a tree than winning a lottery. It requires patience, consistency, and a willingness to follow simple, proven steps instead of getting distracted by noise. The smartest order to invest your money is that simple framework. Follow it, and you give yourself a real shot at the one thing most people say they want but never actually build: long-term financial peace.